Hey indie game fans! A couple of months has passed since the last Metroidvania Indie Games video, so here's a look at my top 10 best upcoming Metroidvania Indie Games which I'm most excited about. Without a doubt, there will be some repeats, but plenty of interesting new titles as well, and this list of games are the titles that I'm pretty sure will get released down the line. Special shoutout of course goes to both Shantae and the Seven Sirens, as well as Ori and the Will of the Wisp, for being titles that I'm excited about, but perhaps not quite indie. So here's presenting the top 10 best upcoming Metroidvania indie games for 2019 and beyond. Alright, so let's get the most obvious pick out of the way. The sequel to the critical and commercial darling, Hollow Knight, Silksong instead follows the story of Honnet, one of the main characters and bosses from the first game, and in many ways this is diametrically opposed to the themes and locations of the first, making for a very interesting contrast. Instead of descending into a ruined kingdom, you appear to be ascending to the peak of a kingdom filled with life, with a whole host of new enemies and bosses, and the more glass cannon style main character should shake up the gameplay quite a bit. This has that same lovely hand-drawn art and is a no-brainer for fans of the genre. Kunai is a ninja Metroidvania where you play as a robot fused with the soul of an ancient warrior and explore this post-apocalyptic world where humanity has been wiped off the face of the planet. Things like the ninja rope and the stop-motion slash mechanics are very ninja-like, and I adore the pastel colour scheme. Recompile is an interesting one since it is in 3D, which, by some definitions, disqualifies it as a strict Metroidvania, but hey, I'm in it for the interconnected world, upgrades and exploration, so no complaints here. Play as a semi-sapient program trying to escape deletion from the mainframe, and I really like the glitchy look, very thematically appropriate, and it promises different traversal abilities which could be fun in a 3D platformer. There are also supposed to be multiple endings, with hacking, logic gates and enemies being a central mechanic, but to be honest, I was attracted by the pretty visuals. Faeland made the list on another video covering beautiful pixel art indie games, and I believe that the evidence is quite convincing. Love the rays of light shining through the forest, And of course, the beautiful blue skies and clouds are gorgeous as well. Based on some animations shown off, your character is quite agile, being able to do things like backflips and ledge grabs, although it seems to animate and control a little like those old school cinematic platformers. Speaking of agile characters, Savior is a pixel art Metroidvania which just missed my last recap list, and of course I have to feature it in this video. On top of spectacular pixel art, the catch here is the intuitive parkour-style platforming, allowing you to slide under or vault over enemies, and the animations look especially slick, with the boomerang staff in the trailer as one example. Everything I love in a video game, so very excited for this. The Metroidvania that I was most excited for in 2019 was initially Flynn, Son of Crimson, since I managed to get hands-on with an early demo and really loved what I saw. Unfortunately, this got pushed to 2020, but I believe the likelihood of release then should be pretty high, given that as of June this year, the enemies were about 80% complete, and the 3 main bosses were also more or less done. I like the variety in weapons, from swords, axes and claws, and the combat is really very fluid, intuitive and fun to execute. Of course, such an awesome look as well, so best of luck to the team for the ongoing development. Monster taming meets Metroidvanias. While conceptually an easy thing to say, this mashup is of particular interest since I love both of these genres. Explore the world and tame spectral familiars, and use their powers as Metroidvania-style traversal abilities. However, once you enter combat, this switches into a 3v3 turn-based combat, Pokemon style, with individual stats and skill trees for each creature. As it is with these games, the fun part is checking out the monster designs, and best of all, it will be out in early access in less than 2 weeks. When I heard that the developers of Skullgirls were working on a beautiful RPG platformer, I was immediately fascinated since while I don't normally play fighting games, Skullgirls was one of those which stood out for the art, and I heard many great things about the fighting systems as well. However, Indivisible, much like Monster Sanctuary, is a blend of the Metroidvania with quite an interesting battle system where in combat, the camera zooms in and you control a party of 4 members using the face buttons on the controller, with attacks and abilities being on cooldown timers. There are more than 20 playable characters, and despite the almost JRPG look, this does have unlockable traversal abilities like the axe that allows you to climb up surfaces, which to me counts as an entry in the genre. This is out in October, so another strong entry for the year. Some of the team behind Touhou Lunar Night is back again with Gensokyo Night Festival, which is yet another Touhou-linked Metroidvania project. However, the character proportions are much more chibi in this, with boss battles that are of course very bullet hell inspired. Great pixel art, fire and lighting effects, and this is supposed to launch in early access pretty soon. The spiritual successor to the Momodora series by the same developer is Minoria, an absolutely gorgeous game with a very unique art style and some interesting 3D stuff as well. I believe the developer mentioned that due to the possibilities of multiple endings in Momodora, it was kind of weird to continue the story, hence the existence of this. And if Reverie Under the Moonlight is any indication, this should be excellent as well. For more upcoming indie games, check out the previous video or click on the recommended playlist, and I will see you after the jump.